Hello, everyone. This was a strange Sunday, well, for me at least, inside my own house. Welcome to what is an impromptu Trafford Talk podcast on what would have been originally a match review for Manchester United versus Liverpool. That didn't happen today because of first of all, the wonderful support that was displayed by the thousands, including one of our representatives who's proudly donning the green and gold below us. At Old Trafford today, protesting against the parasites that run our club, and how proud I am of them all. Unfortunately, it's where the element of why we haven't had a football match today is brought into question. There are a minority that, well, I'll call them lucky today to have been able to break into Old Trafford, invade the pitch, and go into areas where players of United and Liverpool would have been occupying later on in the afternoon, ahead of our game, which was set to kick off at 4:30. It took a while, half an hour at least, to get this number of fans that were on the pitch and in the stadium vicinity originally out. There was a second break-in, and there were people in the boxes now, slapping the windows. I see videos all over social media. Absolute insanity. And basically, short and sweet, they tried to move the game to a later time. They realized they couldn't do it. It would affect Liverpool as well because they would have to travel through Manchester and all that jazz, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, that wouldn't go well for them at the best of times, Liverpool traveling through Manchester. I mean,
I know. But frankly, here we are. We're tonight going to talk about the protest itself and it's, the events that transpired. Thankfully, I took a back seat today because I thought today was going to be a big day for Man United. The protest, I hope, will go well, get some awareness, and hopefully we get to see a game of football after that so we can support the team. And we don't get the chance of watching a football match today, but we have vindication today, is what I'll take from this afternoon. And I'm sure, gentlemen, you have the same opinion because we've really been in the doldrums for 16 years. And today, I think, has been what Arsene Wenger said on Being Sports. What's happened is a revolution is now beginning. Not only at Manchester United.
It felt really special. I mean, when I woke up this morning and I was going to this protest, I was thinking it'll be great. I'll go out there, obviously peacefully protest and everything. I never kind of foresaw the events that followed.
Yeah.
Because I got there about 1:30. The road was already pretty blocked. And I just kind of joined the congregating crowd outside the megastore. And then, it just, about half an hour in, the protest kind of changed the Munich tunnel, followed them down there. And I was thinking, I looked around at one point and I just saw like thousands of people behind me. And I still feel like I'm shocked in a happy way at how well today went. I saw so many people of all ages there, kind of obviously older people, younger people, like the kids were there, showing their support. And I think it's important for me to stress, like, obviously, because I was there and stuff, I can vouch for the fact that most of the people there were not violent. People like Graham Souness, etc. We'll come on to that in a bit. I know Robbie wants to discuss that a bit. People like Graham Souness are going to try and make out that it was a violent thing. It wasn't. It was just football fans coming together. Me and 10,000 others just went down there and we made our voice heard. And
like, it was a minority. The minority of fans that were causing issues. You know what I mean? Guys like you were peacefully protesting, which
all of them.
I don't know how anyone can have an issue with. How can you have an issue with that?
The vast majority of people were peacefully protesting, okay? But what the media is presumably going to focus on now, as we saw with Souness on Sky, is, all these angry Man United fans. A lot of us there, I mean, I said this on the BBC News, I said to the interview, like, we're here to peacefully protest about our club. We're angry, we're fed up. 16 years of this bloody ownership. It's been terrible. And today felt like the biggest dent we've made into the Glazers. I mean, going into today, I never thought the game would get cancelled. I don't understand why the police weren't more prepared for what was coming. I mean, outside Old Trafford, when I got there was quite a lot of stewards that were there. But I mean, the stewards...
Like, there was a banner. There was literally a banner that was made 2 p.m. And I remember there's another one. I can't remember the exact name of the place that everyone was meeting. I know the Lowry Hotel was one of the locations, but it wasn't as if the Greater Manchester Police didn't know what was happening.
The Man United Supporters Trust, obviously run by Duncan Drudd, so they put out something about it. The Red Army, which I'm part of, put out something about it. Everyone knew this was happening. Everyone. So for kind of everyone to act surprised now at what happened, it's just like, you knew this was coming, and it was really, for me, it was one of the best things I've been part of. I was really proud to be a part of it, and people have come from all over, and I don't know, it's just like what struck me at one point. I saw this like kind of 7-year-old kid holding a little. Have I still got mine? Oh yeah, hang on.
You should still have your little paper they gave you from yesterday.
Is it the 50 plus one? Yeah.
There you go. It's 50 plus one. Apology not accepted. That's the best thing I've ever seen.
Literally 7-year-old kids with his dad just holding up that, and I thought, this is a good sign. They can't vilify children, Obviously, the small minority that commit violence isn't great, but I don't think we should even be talking about that, because ultimately, when you think about it, if 9,990 people were doing the right thing, why talk about the 10 people? Why not talk about the 9,990 people who were standing up for what they believe in football? Jamie Carragher, because I saw the end of the Sky stuff because I just got home. It took me bloody ages to get home because the roads were blocked. Jamie Carragher quite passionately said, football fans have been vilified in this country for too long now. He's, of course, experienced it himself with the Hillsborough disaster, the disgusting treatment of Liverpool fans by newspapers like The Sun, and the media in general, by Margaret Thatcher, the Prime Minister then. They've been treated like shit for years, and this has always happened. And for Carragher to he almost looked like he was going to cry, but for him to say, look, we've got to stop treating football fans in a negative light. I just really hope this makes a difference, a change in the way we're portrayed, because, a lot of outlets, that was funny.
That was hilarious.
I seen a tweet about that.
The thing that
I seen a tweet about that. The guy on top of the goals, and it was like on the phone to his mum saying, "Oh look, I'm waiting on Marcus Rashford to come home and feed me my free school lunch." Because he's on the park waiting for it. And that was a great photo though. That
was powerful.
It was. I found it hilarious, honestly.
I was on the concourse by the Munich tunnel at one point, and I looked up to the right of me. There was 3 kids inside the stadium. I could see through the window. I looked straight in front of me, and there was just a kid singing, holding the corner flag up.
Oh my God. They did steal every single corner flag, every single one of them. And it was, unbeknownst to you, Alexi, because after the Arsenal game, I think there was, or before even that, I think Sky News broke it while Newcastle were playing against Arsenal. Sky News broke the story, and first of all, I was surprised to see people in the stadium in the first place. But the second thing that stunned me was the corner flag thing. I was thinking, hang on a second. Of all the things, I understand you're in Old Trafford, you've managed to break in, it's a massive protest. You've just been given.
Come on, I mean, because see the way they went about it.
The door was conveniently ajar. I'm going to steal something.
The steward opened the gate. Like
the thing I'll use the word Adam McCauley used on a different show. The door was conveniently ajar at Old Trafford to the big entry to the pitch. Obviously, a steward, yes, led to the opening of the gate by the steward and exactly all that nonsense. And fair play to him, because how are you going to stop 100 or so people on the stairs of a stand overwhelming you? You just let it happen. If you don't, what can you do? But today, on a basis, because I've sat from the outside and look, like you, Robbie, I've looked from the outside in, and I care deeply as much for this club. There is Alexi proudly with the OGS effects, if you're wondering. He's on the other side of that picture. He's a very good man.
We should make that the thumbnail.
We should probably hope. I hope we
I've
do.
already picked the thumbnail. That's so annoying.
We've already got one being made. We've already got one being made, rather annoyingly. But no, from the outside in, I was looking forward to not only the protest but the game. Now that the game's over, like not going to happen, it's kind of now put me in a reflective mood because obviously, like you, I don't unfortunately get the privilege of going. I didn't get the privilege of going to either protest. I wish I could, but at the moment, I'm currently under scrutiny from various people in my work, so I can't leave London. But the problem that I found with today was, as Alexi's stress, and both of you may have had or have stressed today, why weren't they prepared for it as adequately as they didn't seem to look when we turned up they all turned up today. I don't know why I don't know why they haven't thinking for maybe 2-3 minutes. There's a protest going on at Old Trafford on Sunday, big one, maybe 10,000 people going to go up there because the owners are taking the mick out of their club and the fans are pissed. They want to go over there. So could they, not so much the organisers, I'm not at all blaming the organisers. They did a sterling job. Everyone that was there that did behave themselves deserve credit today for standing up to what they believe in, and I wholeheartedly support it. But I feel like there would have been, some, if you wanted it to go even better and for things not to look so bad as they did later on, why didn't the authorities take it more seriously than it just being something that would appear on Twitter?
My problem
wasn't a big deal.
Well, my problem with how they handled it was, so I got there about 1:30, and then until about 3:30, I was solidly there. And then I had to go to the toilet, so I ran to Tesco's and rang back. By the time I got back, there was about 10 police vans in the car park and helicopters going over. And then they didn't do anything again for a bit. And then it got to about 4, and then they just kind of forcibly cleared everyone out. And it's just it was just very weird the way they handled it. I just found it really, really strange. I mean, I think to the stewards' credit and everyone like that, what the stewards meant to do in that position. I also want to give a special shout out. When I was leaving the ground, I've seen a few pictures of this guy online, but when I was leaving this ground, this guy was going around picking up all the rubbish, which I thought was just really lovely.
Yeah,
he seemed like a lovely guy.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of a more significant message that's been sent in football for a very long time, because you've got to remember, every fan who went to that game today played a part in cancelling the biggest fixture in English football. And the fact we managed to do that in terms of our protest against the owners is something powerful. I mean, have you guys seen anything like this before? Because I can't. Maybe I'm biased because it was so recent. Obviously, I've just come back from it, and my head's. But I can't remember anything like this before.
Robbie, you can go first because I know Scottish football is quite a hotbed for these sorts of things.
I mean, there hasn't really been like a protest that I can remember like this where it's almost been like a fan revolt where literally the match can't go ahead. I think, the banner that sticks out to me, which they obviously didn't take seriously, was "We decide when you play." I think that's quite funny because we literally do decide when they play, and that also shows that we're bigger than the club. We are the club, and it almost shows what we stand for, and what the board don't stand for, which we've had some clear issues in the past. I mean, as you say, Damien, for the last 16 years, it's been absolute hell. So hopefully it will be the end. And I've got a question, Alexi, for you as well, because I have been thinking about this. Whenever I was watching it today, we'll dive into what they said on Sky. Might even do another separate podcast about it because there is a lot to cover, obviously. But they didn't really seem to specify what's next. And Jamie Carragher actually asked that, what's next? Whenever he was just talking to the camera himself, he wasn't really talking to, let's say, Gary Neville, he wasn't talking to Micah or, Roy Keane. And I've got a question, that's my question for you really, like, what do you think is the next step personally, I don't think it's going to happen on Thursday night because it didn't happen last Thursday.
We're away. We're away next.
We're
Thursday.
away in Rome this week.
I know, but well, probably not Thursday. That's a bad example. But they say the next home game. Do you think that we'll still have
it could
protests up until they leave? Do you think that's what actually bother the Glazers as well?
There should be, to be honest. I mean, to be honest, it's so difficult to know what's coming next because we don't. I mean, from what I've just been reading, then the team is still in the Lowry Hotel, even, and I mean, I've just read something that said that the staff and the players wanted to go out and speak to the fans, and they were prevented from doing so, and they're really angry about that, which is interesting. I mean, yeah, the reason why these protests work so well is because fans aren't allowed in grounds. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but if it was a normal match day, right, you'd just have a protest before and then you go into the game and then you'd all be sat there and you chant a bit, but inevitably there's a game on, so you would get a bit distracted. With this, you're all just outside the ground singing, protesting, and you can't get in to watch the game anyway. So that's the main focus of it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can message, the Must leader. I can put something in the Red Army forum. I'm not sure what comes next. Mm-hmm. What comes next will depend on the reaction to this. Will the Glazers come out and say something? I don't know. But I mean, this is such a PR disaster for the Premier League as a whole, because don't forget, right? Sky Sports 4:30 on a Sunday is their prime time. It's like their 9 o'clock on a Friday night, isn't it? That's Sky's prime time for a game. They will have so much money from advertisers. You've got to think about like the small logistics of the game. You've got to think about how the players walk out onto the pitch wearing that sponsor because they're contracted to do so. It's a lot of intricate things. And the reason I think this is going to get noticed is because it's affected Sky Sports. It's affected the Premier League. Now, Manchester United's statement was actually surprisingly good. I was surprised by the tone of it because they basically said they respect the right of people to protest. Now, that's significant. That feels significant to me because they could easily have come out and said, you're all idiots, but they didn't. Now, I've read yesterday that Adidas are complaining because there's been a decline in shirt sales. The Glazers now as well have their little Super League dream gone, okay? The Super League is gone for the Glazers. We've just all stood outside the ground and stopped their crown jewel from playing a match, okay? So at this point, surely the Glazers have to think maybe it's worth selling up because I can't stress this enough. They do not give a shit about us at all. But what they will care about, the Glazers, is money will be going from their pockets. Broadcasting money will be lost today. Okay? They're losing money from kit sponsors. And PR-wise, it's an embarrassment. Are sponsors going to want to be associated with the Glazers now? I don't think they will because they know how toxic it is. Ed Woodward is going. This is a good thing. What we need to happen in the next few days is basically a statement from the fan groups again. What happens next? That's what we need, because if there's another protest, of course, peaceful, I'm going again, and I'm sure a lot of other people will go again. Robbie will go. And that's what we need to happen. Now, we've been trying to get the Glazers out for 16 years at this football club.
Yeah.
Something I want to pick up on. I know we will come on to this later. Graham Souness made out on Sky like, oh, we're just doing it because we're not winning the league. Excuse me?
Oh my God.
Excuse me.
Oh my God.
He saw it.
2009, we just won the league. We just reached a Champions League final. Graham Souness is the most elitist individual you can think of. He dismisses them as thugs, okay? And then you've got the other end of the spectrum. You've got your kind of Gary Nevilles and your Carragers who are working class kids, and they get it. They get what this is about. Now, we've got to hope the way this is reacted to in the press is it's reacted to the way that Neville and Carragher have reacted to, and not the way Souness has reacted to it, because we know what the media are like with football fans, and that will determine how this story goes. If the front pages tonight are all about, the 1% out of 100 that did a few bad things, then we're in trouble, because they should be about the 99% things that are good.
Like, so how many people did you actually see today that were aggressive, acted in a way that, you know, wasn't peaceful? And guys, before we move on, I mean, I know obviously there's a lot of guys in here from all over who are watching it. Me and Ahmed, we went there. We went at the game. We went at the protest, sorry.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wish I was there. I'll 100% be going to the next one after this one. Alexi was there, so that is why we're asking him questions about what's going on. He was on the BBC News as well. He's an internet sensation at the moment. So yeah,
he's national news basically. he is now a part of the talk of the country. I don't think we can consider him as just a small time Twitter holder of 16,000 people. He definitely has now become national news. But as Robbie has said, yeah, unfortunately we couldn't go, but wholeheartedly we support this. We support the fact that we are, you know, rebelling against these wretched parasites. I'll keep calling them that until the day I die. They are parasites, every single one of them involved with this. So as anything, if our opportunity crops up again, we'll happily be there to support it. But yeah, as always, Alexi is the man who's there and doing it for us.
Yeah, obviously, I think one thing I will say as well, even the guy like you two, I know you weren't able to go. A couple of my other friends who live like in Cornwall, which is really far away, they weren't able to go. And that's fine. And do you know why it's fine? Is because the reason 10,000 people turned up today is because of like you guys and my other friends who've just been speaking about it a lot on Twitter and stuff. It's really important that alone to get the message out there, because even stuff like a hashtag, it can seem like such a small thing, but without that hashtag, realistically, we don't have 10,000 people there today. See, it helps.
Like, the thing is, though, see, just a hashtag, and that's what you guys probably don't even know. You don't think about, you know, if you look on my social at United Speaks, I have literally been constantly putting up when it's happening, what time it's at, where it is, and, you know, I've been keeping using the hashtag Glazers out, because, you know, the Glazers as like a franchise, they're not even a family, they're just kind of ran off sheer greed and money. It's almost as if, you know, social media means everything to them. All these kind of things mean the world to them, whereas, you know, you look at us and you look at fans who actually love football, that is one of the last things that spring to your mind. Yes, it's obviously great signing a player for 100 million and you're absolutely buzzing, you're happy they came in, but then you look at it and you think, you know, these guys are just doing that to cover their own back. And it's got to a point now, you know, I'd love to hear, guys, if you're against it. I don't know one person who's against this from happening. Violently, I don't stand for violent protests. As long as it's peaceful, as long as people wear masks, which I think quite a lot of people didn't wear masks. I think if you're in a kind of enclosed space, even if it is outside, masks still should be worn.
I know the thing is though, Robbie, what a lot of people did, including myself, I took, because I have lateral flow tests, I had one before I went and before I came back, and they're both negative, and I did wear a mask, but I think a lot of people have done that. And like, I was talking to my flatmate about this earlier, because he was saying, because obviously they're going to talk about COVID, which of course is a dreadful thing going on. I was in the Arndale yesterday with my friend, and so we couldn't go inside a pub because you're not allowed to yet. 385 people are allowed inside TK Maxx. So the government can't now take the moral high ground on COVID when they're allowing 385 people in TK Maxx. It's ridiculous. Now,
it's incredible.
It's absolutely absurd. And, you know, a couple of weeks ago, we had Boris Johnson piping up saying he was going to look at the fan ownership model. Where's it gone? It's not been mentioned since. And this is why protests like this are so important.
Alexi, I'll just like, not here to defend them, but I don't think it's wise. But there has been recent developments regarding a fan-led review into the way English football's being governed, and also ownership and stuff like that.
This government and reviews is ridiculous. Boris Johnson is deciding himself whether he broke the rules into that flat thing with the, you know.
Yeah, sorry.
So I would not trust their reviews. We need action. We don't need reviews. We need legislation. We need legislation.
I agree with you, Alexi. I agree with you.
A 50+1 model at the very least. And regardless of a 50+1 model, even if that does happen, we still need the Glazers to leave. It doesn't.
Of course.
The 50+1 thing is great, but
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, exactly. And the Glazers still have to go. And, I really feel, I didn't think I'd ever say this, I really feel sorry for Arsenal, because Arsenal have come out and said that Stan Kroenke is not selling the club. I feel really sorry for their fans. I know they had a great protest as well. What I would say to them is keep going. Like, look at what we did today. It works. It helps. And there's echo. Sorry.
It must be me. Right, we'll stay muted from now on. But from now on, we'll stay muted. But yeah, continue, Alexi.
I'd say to Arsenal fans as well, keep fighting for what you believe in as well, because it's the same at their club. And I've had a few people message me that support other teams, going, "Oh, what do you gain from calling a game off and disrupting a game? It's surely you just want to see your team." And getting the Glazers out isn't just a good thing for United fans. It's a good thing for all football fans in general, actually, because we saw what they could. I mean, it's Super League thing. They were the pioneers behind it. You had a statement on Man City's website signed by Joel Glazer. If rival fans don't support this, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, a lot do. I've seen, obviously, like Carragher, Souness, obviously not so much. But this is just an important thing for football. And it feels like we're at a real catalyst for change now. It feels like we're at a tipping point. And whether you agree with the people going on the pitch or not, ultimately, that's the kind of thing that will be an iconic image of this era of football. It's the kind of thing that will go down in history books.
Alexi, do you not remember though? Do you not remember though? Sorry, is there an echo at all?
Yeah. It probably is coming from your end, Robbie, but it's all right, no problem.
Right, okay, I'll just go on mute just now and I'll sort it out.
So, just to touch on what you were saying, Alexi, briefly now. Of course, it's abhorrent that we sit here today and we unfortunately cannot in any way, accept, and I'm happy that we've taken a stand from not even just now, but last week as well. We can't discredit the fact last week people equally protested in not as I understand not as many numbers, but a strong similar unity was shared last week.
Still about 3,000.
Of course, absolutely fantastic by all those people involved, and I credit them when it's due. I find it abhorrent though that as you stressed just a few minutes ago, that it's been damned by people who don't understand our club or all the clubs involved. You just paraded Arsenal fans just a minute ago for what they did last Friday, and again, I also commend them. I have friends who are Chelsea fans who I personally know who were there when they were supposed to play Brighton, and Petr Cech came out to confront them to say, "We'll deal with it. If you guys go away, we'll deal with this." And once someone comes out and says something of that sort, then we can really see something. We can see something. Some action is made. But
yeah. See, that Chelsea protest was absolutely incredible. That was proof alone that protests can make a difference. I think before the last couple of weeks, a lot of people, maybe even including myself, kind of thought, well, I'll go on a protest, but realistically, is much going to change? Chelsea fans went on a protest. The Super League was dead 2 hours later. Mm-hmm. I mean, they pulled out within minutes of the Chelsea fans being there.
Yeah.
And it dissolved the whole Super League. And, today and last week, obviously, we see the power of standing up for what you believe in. And it's really important in a democracy in general that citizens should be able to stand up for what they believe in. Yeah, I was there. I was peaceful, as you know, as many people were. And I don't think we should be looked on negatively in any way by the media or even the club, because I'm sure the club understand, and they've said they understand, that a lot of us were peaceful and we were trying to get our point across, which is really important. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on what Ollie says in the next few days. I don't know what he can say about it. He said yesterday fans have a right to protest, which he's right about. It'll be really interesting to see what he says. But what I will say is I spent not all of course, all of this afternoon singing Ollie. It was mainly Glazer out chants, but there was quite a few Ollie chants. The Manchester United fans are fully behind Ollie. because obviously he's the focal point of our football club. He's someone we all love. I don't buy into this idea of Ollie being a Glazer puppet. I think whoever's in charge of any business or anything, in any job, in any walk of life, it's hard to stand up to your boss. It just is.
Of course. And with Solskjaer, I wholeheartedly believe. I wholeheartedly believe he didn't want today, obviously, not to go ahead. He, like anyone else, would love to be involved in the game of football, as would any of the players that were at the Lowry Hotel, and probably still are now, just on safety grounds until everything's completely died down. I'm sure it's still raging crazy over in Manchester. But yeah, what he said on Friday, or what he said in the press conference after the Europa League game, because it's normally sort of like that when they do 2 in 1 instead of separate days because not enough time between games. What he said in that particular press conference for the game that would have been today kind of resonated with not just me, but with obviously every fan who would have eventually gone to Old Trafford today, or had been involved last week. It's clear that he has morals not only as a human being, but as a football man, that go beyond the fact that he has to deal with people that, yes, he talks to I don't assume on a regular basis, but sporadically talks to. And I'm sure he tries his best to respect them. Well, I'm hoping he has a reflective mood on them elsewhere, away from Old Trafford. Maybe in his own private quarters, he thinks about, well, they've kind of ruined the fans, experience of the club, but they've not done anything to really improve Manchester United tenfold the way they were expecting it to. And really, as we've known this for years, we've been really living under that umbrella of Ferguson and Gill for the last 5 or 6 years that they were in charge in their respective roles, knowing that once it did end, we would suffer there for a long time, for a period of time, which people who don't understand the game, who don't understand Manchester United for a start, who don't understand even the concept of being able to understand the offside rule, just even the offside rule is something that goes like
embarrassing.
Is embarrassing, absolutely disgusting. So I don't know what time is it in America right now. 6 hours from that, 6 hours, 5 hours behind. They will probably be in the early afternoon over there. Would have assumed they were hoping to watch United play, but actually, no, you're not getting that today. Instead, you can enjoy whatever you were doing on, Mar-a-Lago or on Miami Beach or your many houses. God knows what Avram Grant's wearing today. It's probably some nonsense, big T-shirt and some terrible trainers. But frankly, Joel, and anyone connected to the Glazers that play a role at Manchester United today are definitely public enemy number one. We've dealt with Woodward. That's done. We've done that part. We now go after them. And I said it before. Getting rid of Woodward was just the trunk of the tree. Now we go to the roots. And we're starting to dig right through them. It's getting better now. Things are getting better. It's just a case now of absolutely gunning for them as much as possible. And a word I love Never when he says this. We have to mobilize. And I'm not talking about just United here. We talk about everyone. We talk about the 6 clubs that were involved in particular. Those fans who protested at Stamford Bridge, at the Emirates. Those who put banners up at Liverpool. And all those who've done the 2 protests at Old Trafford. Obviously, I don't get Spurs. Even Spurs. I'm not ashamed to say that they did a good job. Those at Manchester City, I don't know what to expect from them, other than putting up a sign. Even that's still a protest. I'm applauding them for that. They may be our rivals and they're about to win the title, but that goes out the window for me. For me, what matters here is the ability for all involved to mobilize against these people. Just either draw them out of our club, get them the furthest away possible from Old Trafford, and bring the people in that will give a damn and care about it from literally the bottom up. And then elsewhere, whether you do the same or something different, because I know the City fans are not going to really revolt against their owners. They'll just try to get them on the table and ask them to explain why they do it, and then move on with it and never let this sort of thing happen again. Same with Chelsea. I would expect this to be the start of something. I say it once, I say it again. In fact, Barburn22 put it nicely. I said it at the start of the show. As Wenger said on Bein Sport today, it's a revolution, and fans are the most important part of not only a club, but of any football team you support, from grassroots level up to the Premier League. So today is more than just, for me, a watershed moment for Manchester United, and more than just the fact that our football match has been postponed. It's basically I hope, and it continues to be the case, the start of the revolution of our game in this country.
Yeah.
And I don't want any more than that, to have a clear indication of what the next step is. And you ask what's next. I'm not one to give answers, but I can only predict. But from what I've known, of what I hear sometimes from on the grapevine, variety is discretion. But there is, the fan-led governance into English football is probably, even though it's not the most ideal thing to have Boris Johnson trying to get his handprints on our handiwork. I don't think we should in any way condone it at all. But we kind of need something from them to help us get that back.
Ahmed, I'm sorry. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but I still refuse. I just can't. I don't think that a man like Boris Johnson and the party he is the head of will take away things from billionaires. I just can't see it. I'm very happy to be proved wrong. I hope I am proved wrong.
I think it'll be a very difficult job to do, especially whenever they were almost fighting just for the Premier League to, be sorted out, make sure, the revenue money is still going in through that direction. They didn't want to change the direction of the way of Premier League clubs would gain, success and money. But I mean, this is just me. I'm going to, kind of give off this and let you guys speak. But just to round it up for me, overall, for what I've seen today, the last week, and since the start of the Super League, is almost like a sense of, everyone's united. And I don't mean just the club. For once, I mean, I've never seen Manchester United as a club on social media platforms unite. That has never been a thing. Prove me wrong. I don't think you'll actually be able to, pull that off. But you look elsewhere, and you look at other clubs. You look at Liverpool. You look at Man City. Probably not Man City. Man City is a very bad team to bring up. But let's say, Liverpool. Jamie Carragher today, he was crying out for supporters of all clubs to back this movement. Not a violent protest, a peaceful walk, a peaceful march, like Alexei carried out today, like probably over 9,000 fans did today as well. The small minority, I wouldn't say ruined it. I would say they just, made it look worse than what it actually was. So yeah, it's definitely not over. Alexei, I'd love obviously to go live tomorrow, break that down on the Let's Talk United podcast. It's almost become like a news channel, Trafford Talk. Well, but
we started that a few weeks ago, and then the Super League happened, which was like, and then all this is happening. It's absolutely crazy timing.
It's the bomb you guys were looking for.
It's great because, as Burton, you guys are obviously getting involved more. We're seeing a much better kind of response in the way of he's clearly enjoying, what we're doing. The match reviews are obviously going great as well with Ahmed. But I mean, Ahmed, over the last few weeks, what have we actually had to work on? No one wanted to even listen to the Leeds one. Let's be real. Leeds versus United was the last thing on people's minds.
We didn't do a Leeds one, did we?
No.
We didn't do one, no. We didn't. None of us were available. But to be honest, who's going to really review a 0-0 draw?
To be honest, I was. No, it wasn't even about that. It wasn't even about that because we usually do review no matter what. But it's just the fact that that some things are more than the actual game itself. And for me, me and Alexi jumped on maybe, I think, a day or two later. and like we're putting up videos about the news, what's going on, and we'll probably be live tomorrow, Lexi, to discuss how Sky actually went about it.
Do you know
break down some of the things they went over?
Yeah.
The thing with this channel as well, I think, I mean, I really enjoy doing previews and reviews, but like, when us three can just talk, so obviously, like Ahmed, Robbie, myself, we all have very, I'd say, very refined knowledge of football, and it's really interesting hearing the thoughts of them on kind of deeper issues, which is kind of what this is. And this obviously is a really deep issue, and we've heard obviously Robbie and Ahmed like talking really deeply about it today, and I find that really interesting. Like, I mean, me and Cam did a podcast yesterday, and it was meant to be about United Liverpool. And we just had a great chat about football in general. We started talking about the Euros and stuff, but it was just really enjoyable, and that's what this channel's about. And
yeah,
like, I enjoy talking to you all about football. It's really fun. You're all very knowledgeable, and
this was meant for the private chat because I don't want to ramble on. But I've actually put it on.
Mistakes are made. Mistakes are made. They happen. Don't worry.
I just don't want to keep you guys on for too long because I think we've been over a lot of good talking points. Obviously, good to hear Alexi's view. We can also discuss, things going forward. And Ahmed, you're more than welcome to come on because really you've not got a job at the moment.
My business is so simple. I'll be frank, gentlemen. Last week I was at Wembley, hence why I couldn't do the review at Leeds with fans. In fact, before we do start off, I wanted to touch on something quickly from my experiences being there last week when City beat Tottenham. There was a feeling that you couldn't get then, even though it was just a pilot test for this later. For the next stage of lockdown easing, which will be 15 days from now, when fans will be allowed to be in grounds, albeit at reduced capacity. But there was a feeling of, for those who were lucky to be there last week, a feeling of satisfaction and a feeling of, we have a reason now to believe again. We have a reason to live once more. We have a reason to think about how we can, enjoy life the way we want to, whether it is protesting, whether it is following our team, whether it's in any other walk of life, to travel, to exercise, to fulfill a profession, anything. For us as a channel, we're just here for the people. We're not here for just, gain. We're not here for anything like that at all. Robbie set this up because he wanted to bring a community of United fans together to become, as he said, united for the common cause to support Manchester United. And the last two words are important: football club. Those are the most important words out of any of the ones I just said. We are a football club. We support fans. Support, it's under the same umbrella. We support that football club for as long as we've lived. Even the people, custodians of the years gone by, supported this football club from its heyday as Newton Heath in the 1880s, to the time when we won the FA Cup in the early years, to the Munich air crash, to winning the European Cup, the relegation. It can go on and on and on. We have so many talking points on this channel. We have so much to talk about. And
I've got a talking point here. The Telegraph have released their editorial stance on this. The headline, it's written by Jason Burt: "Disgraceful Manchester United fans are negligent. Embarrassing club that brought shame on the beautiful game." This
is why journalism in this country is vilified in the nature that it is. In the top 10 professions people are least likely to enjoy doing, journalism is high in that list. I can remember the time I was at university studying media and doing journalism, sports journalism. I remember it being taken as like the second or third highest on the list of things people wouldn't want to do because of how much vilification there is. It's incredible. I'm going to leave that for Robbie and Alexi to talk more about on the show.
Can I just say one more thing about this?
You can go ahead.
Sorry, but this has really annoyed me. This is slightly unrelated to football, but I'm just going to say it because this has really pissed me off. So we're going to see papers like The Sun, the Daily Mail, the Daily Telegraph are all kind of right-wing, quite conservative supporting papers. It's very likely it's in their benefits to vilify football fans because they, as papers, are aligned towards billionaires. That's what they are as newspapers. Their readership is billionaires. Their funding is billionaires. So it shouldn't be any shock to see a paper like the Daily Telegraph vilifying football fans. And it's quite funny, this, because if I remember correctly, about 2 weeks ago, when they all thought their jobs were under threat at the Daily Telegraph because there wouldn't be any Premier League, they were telling everyone to mobilise. Now people have mobilised, but they've got their job secure. They don't care. And it's really, really, really shameful. But this is just the country we were living in. And Jamie Carragher warned about this earlier. He said that we're going to get vilified, and we have. And it's disgusting. And, it's a deeper problem with this country. What happened today is a reflection of society. On Sky Sports, the reaction to it was a reflection of society. We saw Carragher and Neville, who are kind of working class kids, come good, who they were very generous. Jamie Carragher was very generous towards us as a Liverpool fan, as a Liverpool player, as a Scouser, of course. He's not inclined to support us, but he did. And then we saw the other side of the spectrum. We saw someone like Graham Souness, who is the same as the Telegraph and the Sun and all these outlets, as an out-of-touch person. I'm saying this really politely. He's an out-of-touch person who looks down on anyone who isn't in the same, earning the same amount of money as him, the same age, the same wage bracket as him. I mean, he literally got kind of hounded out of Liverpool because he did an article for the Sun who vilified Liverpool fans at the Hillsborough, after Hillsborough. So that shows the ignorance of the man. So to have someone like that come out doesn't surprise me at all. And yet Sky the other week were going on about how, it's awful what's going on. We're going to be the saviours. Well, actually, I was quite disappointed to see that people like Graham Souness and then the Daily Telegraph are now going, oh, actually, we said to do something, but I didn't mean actually do something, right? If I was there, the camera, as a journalist, I could have taken so many pictures, so many wholesome pictures of older people kind of in their 60s and 70s, younger people, 16, some even younger, like I said earlier, 7, peacefully protesting. But what will be on the front, as it was in other protests that have gone on over the last year, about much more serious issues like Black Lives Matter, for example, a much, much more serious issue. People went out there and absolutely did brilliantly to protest. And yet some sections of the media vilified them. We saw it a couple of weeks ago, with the Sarah Everard protests against the police. They got vilified for protesting against a woman being murdered by a police officer. So basically, protests only suit the people, the elites in this country, when it's somebody... it only suits the elites in this country when it's something that they want.
When it hurts their pockets.
It suited Boris Johnson. It suited the Daily Telegraph. It suited Sky Sports. It suited the Sun. It suited the Daily Mail. It suited Graham Souness to spout about how football was being stolen and we needed to do something when their jobs were under threat. Graham Souness has been working for Sky for about 15 years. The Daily Telegraph cover football. Sky Sports cover football. It suited them when their product was under threat. They pretended to care about the fans. And we're now sat here about a week later and they're vilifying us again. And it's not everyone at Sky Sports. Like I said, Carragher and Neville were great. I mean, I didn't see all of it. Roy Keane as well, really good. I'm not saying it's all of them. But then you've got I believe Jason Burt is a really senior writer for the Daily Telegraph. Yeah. He's just vilifying the whole thing. And that's why they don't want us to make change. In this country, they don't want us to take back control from billionaires. We've seen that over the last 11 years of who's been running this country. It's always been orientated towards billionaires. We had a general election 2 years ago, where the leader of the Labour Party, obviously he had his flaws, but a reason he got vilified was because he wanted to tax billionaires more. In this country, people sided with the billionaires rather than siding with normal people who could have done with a bit of help. And that's why we're not going to get anywhere. Because Mike Ashley still owns Newcastle. The Glazers still own Manchester United. The Telegraph is still a massive thing. The Sun is still a massive thing. The Daily Mail is still a massive thing. And Sky is a massive thing in this country. And they always will be while we're run from top to bottom by elites, from Boris Johnson all the way down to the press that he has a pretty good control over because he used to work for the Telegraph. It's so... I don't know if I can say corrupt because it might be libelous, but it's so...
You can say it if you want to.
It's just corrupt. The whole thing is corrupt in this country, and people are now going to see it because it will affect our football, but it's affecting everyone in this society. affected everyone. They were absolutely terrible with the pandemic, absolutely dreadful. You know, there's all this stuff about his house that's been going on, and all the stuff about he allegedly said about letting the bodies pile up. But do you know what's going to happen in 2024? Is the newspapers will still praise Boris Johnson because they think he's this lovable guy. Those same newspapers that are vilifying football fans will get behind Boris Johnson. They'll tell football fans to stop protesting. They'll tell the Black Lives Matter protesters to stop protesting. And then what's going to happen is we'll be in the same state as the country. So until anything really drastic changes, we're screwed. But anyway, sorry, that's me burnt out now.
No, Alexi, listen, you make of so many valid points, and I have to hark on about this for a second. Last year, I attended the BLM protests in Hyde Park following the death of George Floyd, and obviously it brought me great satisfaction knowing Derek Chauvin has been convicted and jailed for his actions. And I am proud of the color of my skin. I am proud of my heritage. I'm proud of everything. But for me, it's just the fact that protesting is like a common goal people aim to have, to be able to enact change in a society that is riddled with corruption, with, you know, people with heavy pockets, for people who feel entitled, the elites. It's why nowadays I feel like the world we live in is going to be very hard, even for like us, the working class, to be able to become successful. Like, trust me, I don't like to harken back over to football because it's such a big deal. But a thing that came up recently, in the Premier League, like a position I'm chasing is to become a colour commentator for top class football matches. I currently do that at the 5th division level for a team that could potentially be promoted to the Football League, meaning much more widespread notification around this country. In the Premier League, however, there's such a lack of diversity in terms of the positions other than being a pundit. You find the odd person of colour doing a match of the day or a Sky Sports show or a BT Sport live game. You find that happens frequently. That's fine. But there's only one person in this country, off the top of my head, who is of colour, or people, or a couple of people of colour in this country who do top class professional football matches, who do European games or the Premier League. There's like 2 people that I know of that do it for the BBC and do it for freelance, but still do it for big companies in this country. For me, that shows how disgraceful it is for the lack of inclusiveness or the lack of ability for major companies to open their doors or open their. Let's just say, for example, how about sit down with people from the government down, anyone, doesn't matter how high your position is. How about take a moment, listen to people who either use your products or use your services, for example, and then hear their opinions. Why do they notice things that you notice but just brush under the carpet, for example? These sorts of things, are why we are riddled with corruption in this world today. Not even 10 years ago, not 10 years down the line, today. And the world as we know it will not change unless something really dramatic happens. And that dramatic thing won't happen. Unfortunately, won't happen tomorrow. It can only happen tomorrow if everyone mobilizes for the common cause. For me, I am going to strive for my goal, whatever that is, whether it is success in the media or just get the Glazers out of Manchester United. That will always stay paramount, okay? Everything in life you have a purpose. You go out to seek that purpose. Once you achieve it, you sustain that until you pass on. And from then onwards, whatever happens, it's up to the next person to follow your role. And those who have come before us, and it now comes back to Man United, the custodians of our club, the custodians of the years when we were Newton Heath, from the years that we were just building up Old Trafford, from it just being a big grass mound to it being the empire that it is today, or the castle that it is today. They all worked hard for a purpose. They all worked hard for a reason. And they all worked hard to bring United to what it is today. I mean, at the end of it all, when we look back at it later on, when we're frail and old, we'll think about this time now when we were young and tell ourselves, we went through one of the hardest periods as a race on Earth, with so much going on, with us turning a blind eye to it because we had no say in the matter other than to just cast a vote in a box. It sounds ludicrous that all you can really do to enact change is to put a tick on a paper in a secluded place, stick it in a box, and then hope it all blows over, or that your change will happen. Instead, you get the opposite. And you get the minority or the majority that feel you're not right at all. Because I think this is better for our country rather than what you think is good for our country. I think we shouldn't be in the EU. I think white people should have more chances in the higher class positions. I believe that we should be more entitled into getting things before others. I believe we should have more vaccines than everybody else in the whole world before we give them out to those who need it more than us. The double standards are ridiculous. They are ridiculous. In this country in particular, for the United States, I couldn't give a shit. I honestly couldn't. I'm supposed to be fasting. I shouldn't be swearing, but I'm really angry right now. Really, I couldn't give a damn. The world we live in is corrupt in so many ways.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so much going on just now, and I feel as if we're actually getting to this point of time. Everyone in their life, they've kind of come to the fact where, like, you know what, I'm not standing for this. I'm not going to let this all happen. And I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
And I like the world thinking more about that. It's just like I'm at that age now, and people above me who are older than me now feel as if they've got the right to just say what they think within reason, obviously, and say how they feel, which is different. We've not had that before, and especially not with football. I know we're obviously kind of going into more politics, but
football relates to politics, though.
Yeah, it does.
I think the world as a whole over the last few years has really come to a boiling point. I mean, Ahmed mentioned obviously Brexit, and then we had Trump, but then we've all equally in the last year, which is good in my opinion, having the fight back against it, because I personally think those things were bad things. Obviously, people might have different views. I'm just saying my view. But the world has come to a boiling point against stuff like bigotry and stuff like that, and people have had enough. This pandemic as well has played a part in it, because it's made people realize what's important. And Ahmed, like, honestly, I've said this to you as a joke before, but I mean this like seriously. Like, I think Robbie can agree with me on this as well. You would do such a better job than 99% of those commentators they have, like the Martin Keowns of this world. Like you're just so much better than him.
Speak.
Yeah, and he's just so if you was that, I mean, probably any of us as well, instead of Souness or Martin Keown or Danny Murphy, or all these people that have just got a job because they were entitled to, you'd be so much better than them, so much. And unfortunately, the world at the moment isn't really a meritocracy, but these protests, whether it's for Black Lives Matter, whether it's for the Sarah Everard thing, and it's more obviously in comparison more kind of I don't know what the word is, more less meaningful things like football. Obviously football is important, but compared to those other things, it's unimportant in significance. But the message is to stand up what you believe in. You've got to, and things will change. They have to change.
I agree. Absolutely.
And hopefully we live in a world in 3 or 4 years where, I say 3 or 4 years because I think that's how long it could take, because we've got to have elections, we've got to have more protests. Across the board, we can have a world where we're not just run by billionaires who don't care about us, whether that be people running the country or running our football clubs or running companies like Sky Sports and BT Sport. We need to see, obviously, Ahmed, you touched on it, we need to see more kind of meritocracy and how commentators, for example, are chosen. We are seeing progress with that. There needs to be a lot more. And I know we've been on for a while. I think we'd still got so annoyed at that Telegraph thing. I think what today has shown that whatever the topic is, you're trying to protest, whether literally whatever it is, it could be the smallest thing or the biggest thing. just stand up for what you believe in, because change can happen. And, you know, just go out and make yourself proud if you can, and stand up for what you believe in, because otherwise we're just buggered, aren't we?
We are. And to be honest with you, gentlemen, today has been a polarizing day, not only for our football club, but just the fact that a game gets postponed and suddenly people stand up and take notice. That's what it takes for you to get attention. And I think I find that, you know, what I've said today and a lot of what I've heard from both of you will resonate greatly with people who've listened to our show today, and hopefully will in the future lead to bigger action. We could talk all night, but we've reached our limit today. Alexi and Robbie will do another show tomorrow once things have calmed down a bit more, and I'm sure we'll definitely be. Well, yeah, sure. You want us to be quiet? Well, guess what? We can say what we want. This is our platform. This is our place to make noise. If you don't like it, just go elsewhere. Find something else to do. Don't come at us. We deserve our space on this planet to say what we want. And if you don't want to join us in fighting the common cause, you're not welcome here. But at the end of the day, we fight for the same reason. We fight for justice, we fight for equality, we fight for diversity, and we fight for, based on just football solely, for the fact that Glazers are out of Manchester United sooner rather than later. And on that note, I end this show. Tomorrow, these two will have a Let's Talk United. They'll cover more on the Glazers protest, and also a lot more just regarding, you know, what the fallout will be from that, and more on, you know, I don't know what else you guys are going to cover, but we'll have that. I'll be back on Thursday. I'm not going to do a preview for the Roma game because what really is, there's not much really going on. There will be a fan review on Thursday night. I'll host that, and you can join me for hopefully, pending a ridiculous comeback by the Italian side, United's space confirmed in the Europa League final. But outside of that, today's been a historic day. We hope you've enjoyed watching our show, and if you have, please like and subscribe. Helps get to 200 subscribers. Follow everyone that's not only me, but also Alexi and Robbie on respective platforms on Twitter as well. We'll be back soon, hopefully, to bring you another show. And until then, stay safe out there, everyone. Take care and have a good night.